After months of research and planning and a few freight hiccups, the new kayak's finally here, ready for a shakedown. Today will be my first time fishing from a kayak and the first launch for this one. Everything's untested, and honestly, I haven't seriously chased bass on lures for over 20 years. I've come to a stretch of river near home that I've always been curious about, so let's get this kayak on the water and see what happens on our first backwater mission. That's going to be hard work this afternoon, getting it back up that fucking hill. I've kept things pretty simple today. A rod, a handful of lures, just enough gear to see if this setup works. Good fishing would be a bonus, but today's really about getting the kayak on the water and figuring out what works and what needs changing. So I do have a bit of a plan for today. There's a section of river just downstream. Looks good on Google Earth. Narrow section, bit of a bend. Looks like some really fishy water in there, but Google Earth can be a bit deceiving at times. So I'm going to make my way down there. It might be too shallow to fish. It might be too shallow to even get the kayak through. If that doesn't turn out to be a thing, I'm going to turn around and head upstream. There's a creek, comes into the river about 4 k's upstream. I've picked that as the turnaround point. Whether I make it that far or not, I don't know, but that's the point where I'll go, you know, I've gone far enough for day one. Yeah, we'll sort of concentrate on that stretch, but I do want to have a look at this little bit of a narrow cut through. Looks quite fishy to me, but we'll go and have a look at that. We've got ourselves a little cicada surface lure. Since it's nice and early in the morning, we'll give that a bit of a run. Like I said, I haven't fished for bass for decades. Probably so far out of touch. But we'll go and give it a shot. First thing I noticed about this kayak is just how easy it is to pedal it along, how comfy it is. It's like sitting in your lounge chair at home. It's pretty bloody good. Even in quite shallow water, you can still maintain drive just by using the pedals, just a small amount, keep those fins up close to the hull. You can still drive yourself through some pretty shallow water. It's pretty cool. Sun's just starting to peek over the tops of the trees there. But we'll start having a few casts and see what we can do. This does look really fishy in here, I tell you. I'm going to have to work on my cast and getting in closer to those snags. Oh no! I can rescue number 1 for the day. I don't think that's going to be the last one today. I hope you can get that on camera. Little platypus cruising around. How cool is he? Things like that have to make having a kayak cool as hell. You just don't see them when you're cruising around in the tinny, the outboard running. That is awesome. That's just made my morning. platypus in the wild. How cool. This bank over here looks really good to me, nice and steep. Should be a bit more water depth to it. Can't see a lot of snags sticking up out of the water, but that can be because the trees have fallen in the water and they're actually under the water level if the water's nice and deep. I don't have a sounder, I don't have any electronics, so I have no idea when you're trying to read the ground along the bank and work things out from there. So it's quite cool this morning, definitely into the single figures. I think it was under 7 degrees when I left home. One of the coolest mornings we've had this year. Hopefully that doesn't put the fish off. Well, not really the main aim of the day, but it would be good if we could get a fish. That's for sure. It's a little more awkward casting from the kayak than I thought it would be, but I guess that's something you probably just get used to. Some good looking roots coming down into the bank all through here. There would have to be fish in here. If I don't do any good with surface in the next little bit, I reckon I'll change over to some sort of a diving lure. In the past, I've had intermittent success with surface lures when conditions are right. I don't know if winter time is really the time for it. But again, this is going back 20 years. Things change. Can't see why those old techniques wouldn't work. I don't know, I might press on a little bit and see if we can find some fishier looking water. Had no hits or anything, no interest on the surface lure, so I've changed over. Changed over to a little fishcraft, little diving minnow, crankbait, whatever they call them these days. And I'm going to try and find some fishy looking snags. I don't know that this area that I'm in is the right place for it. I'm just going to go down, have a look around the corner. You always got to see what's around the next bend. And if I can't find anything that looks worthy of some time, I'm going to turn around and we're going to go and have a look in that upstream section. Oh, yep, we're on. Oh, I don't know what that is, but oh, it's got a bit of weight to it. It could be a yellow. That'd be cool as fuck. Oh, oh, got a bit of fight to him. Oh, it's a fucking catfish. Oh, well, that's a disappointment. Old Burnett River power tail. Not cool. Mate, I don't really care if you fall off, to be honest. I could do without your kind for today, but anyway. How's that? First proper fish in the kayak. I hope that's not an omen for things to come. Ah, mongrel. Oh, it's a fish, I suppose. There's a nice little snag pile down here. We'll go and have a look. And I reckon we might call it quits in here. And head for places upstream, I think. Why is he doing that? Why? What are you doing? You fucking flat already? Righto, so clearly the camera setup needs a bit of work. And so does my fishing. I'm going to turn the cameras off. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to head upstream. Probably got about a kilometre or so to paddle up. And go and see if we can find some fishy looking water up there. We'll see you when I'm up there. Tell you what, it's quite windy out here in the main river channel. We might have been better off staying where we were, persevering. But a bit of a go out here. Keep paddling upstream, and worst case we can sort of drift back down with the breeze and see how we go. May even set up and have a bit of a troll through some of these areas, probably be worthwhile. Oh, I don't know if that was a snag or a hit then. It might have been a snag. Just a log just there. There is a bit of an art to trying to keep this kayak going in the direction that you want it to go. Just trying to fish with two hands. Yes, you can pedal, but you got the old rudder over here on the left. It's a little bit difficult. I think we'll work it out. Rocks and things up here, a rocky bank, might do the trick for us maybe. Don't know if there's really much water depth here though, is the only thing. Do like a metre or a couple of metres. Yeah, some of the bank might not be too bad. Christ, is it breezy out here. Trouble is, this stretch of river here that I was going to fish is pretty much straight in line with where the wind's blowing. And it's about 4 k's or up to the next little creek. So there's nowhere really to hide. I don't know if we persevere with it, or whether we go back to our little narrow bend and persevere in there. I think for now we'll just keep going with this. Oh, nearly in the tree. This wind is definitely making it difficult to fish out here. I am going to duck across the other side, have a quick look, see if that gets us just out of the breeze enough. Otherwise, we're going to go back to our protected little creek. No, I would really like to explore this section of the river a bit more. It does seem to be fairly long, straight and featureless, you know, like, yeah, there's snags, but there's snags everywhere, so to find fish is going to be difficult, whereas that little narrow section just seems to be different to the rest of the river. So we may even keep going downstream, maybe see if the next section is as exposed as this one. It's always an option. Yeah, I don't think this side's not going to be any better. So I'm going to head back down out of this wind. I'll see you back soon. I've often wondered over the years if this section of river would fish any good. I used to, years ago, probably 20 plus years ago now, fish a lot for bass and yellowbelly in this river system, but a long way upstream. But our local fish stocking group up that way put a lot of effort into putting fingerlings in the river every year, so you knew the fish were there. I don't know that anybody's ever done that this far down the river, but there's probably there'd be more than half a dozen major dams and weirs and things that have their own fish stocking groups that have been putting bass and yellowbelly, among other things, in this river system for 35 years probably, maybe even longer. So I reckon some of those fish would have to make their way down here, especially the bass. They naturally migrate downstream in the breeding season, so you would reckon there would have to be a decent population here, but I've never tested it. So, and I've lived local to this river for the last 10 years, and this is the first time targeting those species in this river. I don't know why I've been so slack, but here I am. So far it's unproven. I don't hear of a lot of people fishing here for them. They tend to go to some of the major impoundments. We've got Lake Gregory not far away. It's got good bass, as well as Saratoga. You've got Mondrian Dam not too far away if you want to chase barra. So this river system sort of gets overlooked a bit, but I reckon there has to be fish here. Whether I can find them today or not, sort of not really the question. I just wanted to get out and give this kayak a good run, figure out what works, what doesn't, things I need to change to set it up better. I've already I have a few thoughts on it already. I need to change the weight distribution a little bit, I think. It seems to be a little bit nose heavy. I've got a bit of stuff stashed up the front and no real weight at the back, so I think I need to change that around for next time. But overall, I'm very happy with it. It's very stable, easy to pedal, even in really shallow water. Because of the way the fins work, they sort of go, they paddle across this way. If you just move the pedals just a little bit like that, your fins are up against the hull and just doing these ones. So you can sort of propel yourself along in pretty shallow water. Quite impressed with that. Very easy to get in and out of. There's probably, I don't know, there's enough tackle storage, I think, with the tray I've got underneath here. There's a couple of pockets on the side, rod holders behind me. For a day like this, you'd store plenty of gear. I'll probably look at putting some sort of an esky on the back, carry a bit of tucker with me. Full day fishing, you're going to get a bit hungry, so that'll probably be a modification fairly early on, I think. And if I'm going to continue to film my fishing, I'm going to have some sort of a power source on board. I'm using a battery pack to try and keep everything charged at the moment, and it's working, but you know, I probably need a little bit more juice on board and the ability to charge multiple batteries, things like that. But you know, that's not really a fishing thing. That's a me trying to film myself thing. I think this is where we got our catfish earlier on. Hope he doesn't come back. A little storage bin up the front's quite handy. A little bit hard to access from when you're sitting in the kayak, but you know, it's handy to be able to keep some of your stuff dry up there. The tackle tray underneath the seat, very handy for keeping your lures and your pliers, knife, things like that, really handy to you, but I've had to modify it already because it's mounted on this rail system, which is good, means you can slide it in and out from under your seat. But I found every time I slide it out, I slide it straight off the end of the rails, and then you've got to frig around and try and get it back on the rail, slide it back in. So I've just used a couple of these little rail mounts and a screw and tightened it down nice and tight. And that just stops it from sliding clean off the edge and makes it a very usable thing. But yes, it's definitely handy to have that storage under your seat, nice and handy for all the stuff that you're going to be using a lot. Ooh, a couple of little bait fish there. I assume that was probably my lure that scared them, not a fish. You never know. Give it another cast. These rod holders, rail mount rod holders, they were an extra thing that I added. Probably not super handy in the river here. More for when I want to go out to the dam and chase barra. I'll probably troll when I'm traveling. I'll troll some lures around, and yeah, they'll be very handy for that. Troll 2 rods until I find spots I want to fish. Probably won't be heading out there for a little while. I'll probably wait until it warms up, I reckon. Early spring, when the water starts to warm, will be a good time to get out there. But everything else, pretty much the kayak is as it's delivered. I did put the extra foam pads on the floor. I don't know, they reckon it makes it a little bit cooler rather than, you bastard. There we go. A little bit cooler, a little bit nicer, just having something soft on the floor. The seat is very comfortable to sit in. I've got it laid back quite a bit. I don't know, probably should sit it up a little bit more, but they're quite adjustable. I don't have the best of backs, and I do get uncomfortable sitting in some chairs. But this is very nice to sit in. I'll be fishing here all day, I reckon. The rudder system, very easy to use. Takes a little bit of getting used to trying to maneuver while you're fishing, because you're using 2 hands to fish. So it is a little bit hard at times, but I think I would definitely prefer the pedal drive and the rudder to trying to hang on to a paddle for the day. I think if we continue down this down the river here, I think we're going to end up in the same situation as what we had up further. We're probably going to be out exposed in the wind, but the river does sort of curve around a bit more to the right, so I don't know. We'll poke our nose down and have a look. See what happens. Just gotta be a little bit careful going down here that I don't just get carried away and drift with the wind too far, because I gotta paddle all the way back upstream to my car. And if you remember back to the start of the video, I had a huge sand hill to try and drag this kayak up. I am not looking forward to that. Oh. Yeah, jelly legs. We need to do something a bit better than this. Oh. Even downhill's hard work. Oh. There's got to be a better way than that. We're down a bit from the bridge. We've got to go back up the other side of the bridge, so it's time to put the pedal to the metal. You can get a good pace up with this thing, which is good. Depending on how fit you are, I don't know how long I'll be able to keep a pace like this up for, but yeah, you can get a good turn of speed out of it, which is good. Not going to do this all the way home, but I can tell you. Oh, man. I just hooked a fish. Had him on for 10 seconds. I decided to just troll my way back to the bridge because I'm just about stuffed. And yeah, I don't know whether that was a bass, yellow belly, or another bloody catfish. But I reckon it's probably worth a little bit of a troll up and down this little bit of a section here. Pretty cool. Ooh, ooh, yep. Oh, it's probably another bloody catfish. Don't be a catfish. Just feels like a log. Nope. Probably a catfish. Yep, another bloody catfish. Jeez, he's inhaled it though. Oh, man. Steady, steady. Come on. I'm not putting you in my net. Man. Only a little fella, but absolutely swallowed my little mongrel thing. A little catfish. Bigger ones put up a nice fight. I've had a lot of fun catching them in the past. See you, buddy. But not my target. Not at all. You just love that background track of busy people doing busy people things. No, neither do I. I'm gonna keep going and get away from this noise. Sounds terrible. Well, I think that's probably gonna draw the first mission to a close. It's been a good day out on the water. No real good fish. There's a couple of catfish. That's about it. Got to see some cool stuff though. A couple of platypi, platypuses, big old lungfish, water rat. Oh, it was good. It was good. It was good to actually get it out on the water, see how everything worked. Things I'm happy about. It pedals easy. You get a good bit of speed up if you want. You can just cruise along gently. That works really well. Nice stable platform. Chair's pretty comfy. Although I do think these straps, I think they might tend to loosen over time. I seem to keep finding myself laying backwards a bit, which is comfortable, but yeah, I think it does. The backrest might move back a little bit, but I'll have a look at that. Overall, yeah, very happy with it. I can't find too much default with it yet. Bit of a squeak in the pedals, but that's no big deal. Yeah, very happy with it. Not happy with the fishing. Something I need to work a bit harder on. I have a few more casts up here on the last bend, and then yeah, I think we'll go back to where we launched from and head for home. Have a feed, contemplate where the next mission's going to be, whether I pick a different section of this river and have another crack, whether I go a little bit further afield and go to one of the local stocked impoundments maybe. Where would you take your kayak for a fish? I'd love to get a good fish on board. That's what I'd like to do. Could even do an estuary trip. Good time of year to catch brim. Maybe. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you on the next backwater mission.